Gang, we're getting closer.
It really was based on this idea of looking for what did we find essentially human. And we felt like one thing was being part of a community. Another thing was being creative your whole life. The third part of that triad is curiosity. We felt like it's important to remain curious. Those seem like essentially human things, and the Blue Man became this way to express that. Most of it came off in, it was expressed in form instead of content, and that means the very form of the Blue Man. The reason they're all alike is to express this idea of our kind of tribal, community-natured being. Another way to look at the show is we wanted to explore things that alienate people, and we wanted to explore things that bring people together, to make us realize that a lot of these fences we put up are really artificial, and we're all human in the end. Much of the creative process in the beginning between Matt and Chris and I were based a lot in kind of our own personalities and what we knew about. Chris came from studying the art world. Matt was a lover of comedy and also, kind of a layperson in terms of his love of music. The thing I think I brought to the table was this knowledge of hardware and everything. I'd worked in hardware stores, industrial hardware stores, and I'd learned silly things that I never thought would be of use when I moved to New York. We had this wonderful opportunity after we opened at the Astor Place Theater to begin building this creative team, and we really did look at it as a tribe. We were all equal. We're all part of a tribe, all trying to get the show up every night or create new material.
Once you're in Blue Man Group, you were kind of part of the creative process from the get-go, because at the time, Chris, Matt, and Phil, obviously, they were still doing shows when I was doing shows, and their process at the time was to think up a new musical piece and come in and work it in sound check that night, and you were immediately part of that process. Drumbone happened that way. They came out and they're like, this is a drumbone, this is how we play it, let's find an ending for this. And we all got up there and tried it, and we were working on it in sound check, and then you're doing it in the show that night. So you were on your toes. If you were in the building, you're on the creative process. It's different, but very much the same still.
Blue Man Group has been incredibly collaborative, both in concept and in practicality. Carpenters have become senior directors, and senior directors have done carpentry. It mixes and matches all the time. Everybody helps each other out. We wear a ton of hats.
When you're dealing with something so personal as a creation of art like music, sometimes it's really hard to have that collaborative process because people get attached to certain ideas, and maybe the communication process can be less than ideal. But it's been, I would say, as good as it's ever been in Blue Man Group.
On the simplest level, you're having clarity of concept, and on a more sophisticated level, you're taking it to a new direction that you wouldn't have thought of on your own. It's the benefit of chaos. You're not just left to your own device.
It's been great to have the joy of building this creative team. Other people around us had great ideas. They had kind of been around and had this kind of osmosis of the character and the kinds of things that the Blue Man would do, and the kinds of things that are right for satire, and the kinds of instruments and gadgets that the Blue Man would work with or create. People like in the area of music, Jeff Turlick, and before him Todd Perlmutter, and Michael Dahlin has been around for 17 or 18 years, 20 years now, I think. All of these guys are just, I think they're better at keeping what the core is about the Blue Man character and our kind of work than I am sometimes. I think they have a little bit further vision than I do.
We're always reevaluating it every night and seeing what we can bring that's fresh to it. That spirit has continued throughout the whole run of this company, as long as I've been part of it, for sure. And it continues to this day. We're here in Chicago. We're working on new material.
Chicago is going to get a refresh. You start with the calendar. What's the best open window to come in and do this in the time we need? and then content starts to come forward.
The horns came out of one conversation with Phil, and he said, I've always wanted to do a thing about horns, you know, and we were like, oh, okay, and then we went away baffled, kind of like, what are we going to do with horns? And then we started working on it, and it was terrible for a long time, and we just didn't see our way into it. We were like, well, what if they're light horns? You know, we were like, what if these things grab the light? That got us a little bit excited, and then we started kind of rolling on that idea.
With Jeff and Michael each bringing their own ideas to the table that aren't completely sussed out. They're just the kind of thing where I know there's something here that's interesting and that has some depth and richness to it that we can all play with and leave it kind of unfinished.
Those guys know that they have room to fail, which is really important. That's a super important part of the creative process. If a creator or an artist doesn't feel like they can fail, then they're less likely to take risks. So I really respect that these guys are taking some risks. They're giving us material and they're saying, here, this is what we're trying. We're really excited about it, but if it doesn't work in some way, let us know how it doesn't work, and we'll change it and we'll come up with something else.
When the direction team leaves and goes back to New York, we know that now it's really up to the local team here to kind of take it and really grow it into a big, beautiful tree. You know, right now it's a tiny little sapling of a couple ideas, and it's never felt to me like you've got these bosses that come in and dictate to you, this is what it is, just go in and make the donuts, you know? It's always been kind of like, here, take this and see what you can do with it, you know, and that's what's really fun about it.
This show and the creative process of this show rewards curiosity. There's so much happening in music and art, and especially on the technological side of those things. I would love to keep pushing it in that direction. We're being pushed to continue to explore. We're being pushed to continue to work with outside collaborators, and I really look forward to it.
You prepare yourself to be available, and then you let the impulses come. And definitely, you know, working with others. Again, it comes back to working with others, being inspired by them, being inspired by thoughts they have.
There are always things happening in culture that are worthy of exploration. What I love about having these three characters is they're trying to figure it out, they're trying to figure humanity out. They each have their own perspective on things and the way they try things out, just to see what the reaction of the other two are and the reaction of the audience. Remember, we're in it with them in the room. When they try something and they hear the audience laugh or they hear the audience say, ah, you know, I mean, that's a learning moment. There's always inspiration out there just in human relationships, but then there's always cultural things happening too. One of the things I've been excited to explore is how the Blue Men can actually find voice. They can't speak, but how can they harness it? We've had a few ideas kicking around that hopefully will get on their feet in the next year or two.
You know, I hope the future of Blue Men looks like a lot more kind of explosive, gooey, liquidy stuff.
Hey, is this on the internet yet?
That's it. If you have any more questions about our Blue Man Group process, our creative process, please ask them. Put it in the comments section and we'll get back to you. Just tune in next time for more answers to questions from you about our Blue Man Group creative chaos process.